To talk about self-expression in immersive experiences and on platforms like Roblox, a topic of our ongoing research in the quest to understand the growing consumer interest in digital fashion and self-expression through digital identity and avatars. Creating, dressing up, and customizing avatars is part of every user journey on Roblox. People have been doing this for over a decade on our platform. That's how 70 million daily active users connect and communicate, while spending 2.5 hours on average daily. This way of self-expression is a vital part of people's experiences, especially for Gen Z who are growing up building connections in digital worlds. Today, we published our new 2023 Digital Expression, Fashion, and Beauty Trends Report that focuses exactly on these topics with insights on how Gen Z's self-expression in immersive spaces impacts their physical style, purchasing decisions, and even mental well-being, and what these trends mean for brands and various industries from fashion, tech, and beauty. Next slide, please. So we are so honored today to have such a dream panel joining us, and they're experts both from the physical and digital worlds to unpack this data further. And for the audience, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section, and if we have time at the end, we'll be sure to answer them. Okay, let's go to our amazing panel. So I would love it if you could please introduce yourself and mention one, your connection to fashion, the metaverse, and why you think looking at trends and developments with digital self-expression is especially timely topic today. And then please tell us, too, your own metaverse style. And if you don't have an avatar, what it would look like and be dressed like. So I'm going to start with you, Rush.
Perfect. Hello, I'm Rush Bogan, and I'm a top digital fashion designer on Roblox. I run a design and consulting firm, RushX, and I get to collaborate with some amazing brands and personalities like Karlie Kloss and Elton John. I've always been obsessed with fashion, and I think that it's extremely necessary to be looking at the digital world, because as newer generations are becoming interested in fashion, I think it's important to look at the digital world, because that's the main way that users express themselves. And my current avatar is a monochromatic beige outfit with a cozy beanie for the fall season.
Amazing. Thank you, Rush. We're going to go to you, Mikhail.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mikhail Barilaro. I'm the Vice President Metaverse Ventures at Gucci. I'm in the company for 13 years now, and I have been covering different roles and responsibilities, from creative to corporate image and now new business, always with a digital-first mentality. I currently lead the gaming and metaverse strategy, through which we create authentic narrative and innovative branding. And if we weren't to do so, we were missing a big point. And with regards to the avatar, I have a different representation of myself. For example, the one avatar that I like, that is in Roblox, I'm wearing a Gucci Ancora hat and a very iconic Gucci bag.
Thank you, Mikhail. I am also wearing Gucci on my Roblox avatar. Okay, thank you. And we'll go over to Alice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alice Delahunt, and I'm the founder and CEO of Psyche. I feel like there's a Gucci theme here when I talk about my avatar. But before that, I was the Chief Digital Officer and Chief Content Officer at Ralph Lauren. And before that, I led digital marketing and social media at Burberry. But I had to leave to found Psyche and just jump headfirst into this space. Psyche is a platform to discover, curate, and trade digital fashion. And we so believe in digital designers that we also founded the Psyche Collective, which are 10 digital designers who I personally believe are the next generation of major fashion houses in the world, because fashion designers today are designing digitally, and that is so exciting. In terms of what I would look like, you know, I have multiple expressions of myself, which I love. I really believe in emerging designers as well as the big houses. So on Roblox, I have my limited edition polo sport outfit, and I've got a chic Gucci bag, Mikhail, you'll be happy to hear. And on Psyche, I'm actually flexing my Gucci and 10 KTF outfit, which I'm super proud of. And I have one of our Psyche Collective designers, Fan Rui's collection, on display. I've her Chrome Royale and semiotica pieces, which are very, very cool. But it sounds like I need to get a rush piece too.
Love it. Thank you, Alice. Megan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan McDowell, and I am the Senior Innovation Editor at Vogue Business, which basically means that I cover anything interesting happening in the tech world. I translate that for a fashion and beauty audience, and vice versa. Anything interesting in the tech and innovation world that fashion and beauty brands are doing, I explain why the tech is interesting. First of all, Mikhail, I'm a little surprised you're not wearing Gucci ice cream. I just discovered this idea about the very popular Gucci ice cream. So I've thought this Gucci, what happened to your ice cream? Maybe next time. I also don't have Gucci ice cream. So my style in the metaverse, I will say, is very colorful. One of my avatars has pink hair, which I don't think I would probably ever do in the physical world. My favorite avatar is a big, giant rainbow bumblebee, which strangely I feel like represents me many times. And I also, I tend to be a little bit more sporty. So my style is more sporty, which is actually how I run around the world. But I think in my professional life, I don't dress that way as much. So it's nice in the metaverse to kind of really be me and be seen for me.
Thank you, Megan. All right, Caroline.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline Rush, and I'm Chief Executive at the British Fashion Council. Here at the British Fashion Council, we promote British fashion, but we also look at innovation and disruption in the industry to really think about how we support businesses to tackle those challenges and hopefully to embrace innovation. But we're also known for working with a lot of young creatives, and the emerging talent that we're seeing coming through are as interested in building their digital revenues as they are there in real life. And so we're actually being pushed further and faster by the younger creatives that we're working with at the moment. So this is a really exciting space for us. We've also partnered with Psyche on their collective, so a real opportunity to work with digital-only designers. And it was great to see them at London Fashion Week and bring their digital into the real life. I'm sure we'll get into that, Alice. My avatar, I think I need to up my avatar game. You have all made me really shameful, but I would love the idea of just thinking about playing with hair color, makeup, and probably just being a bit more outrageous than I am with my in real life wardrobe.
Great. Thank you, Caroline. I love the mixture of the iconic brands, the emerging creators, and the collaborations between the two. Okay, well, thank you again. I love this panel. It's a dream panel of innovators. And let's get into the data on the 2023 Digital Fashion Trends Report now. So as I said, our second report on digital self-expression trends in 2023 and how Gen Z express themselves in immersive spaces and on Roblox is available as of today. So you can find that on our Roblox blog. And research includes survey from over 1,500 Gen Z respondents in the US and UK. And interestingly, we found insights across the two markets are largely similar. And it includes vast platform data from Roblox, where millions of people connect and dress up daily. We started this kind of research last year, getting some valuable early insights on the importance of digital fashion and this way of self-expression. But we are going deeper this year and are excited to talk about the latest findings today. This year, we look deeper into the full spectrum of self-expression through digital identity, avatar makeup, hair, and fashion. And we see in this data just how much authentic self-expression in metaverse spaces means to many people, helping them build confidence and connections in addition to their style. So let's discuss some of the key findings. For Gen Z who grew up in the digital world, self-expression through digital identity and fashion is an essential part of their experience. We see this both in our survey and our platform data that its importance continues to grow. So you'll see in this report some of these amazing stats. 84% of Gen Z say digital fashion is at least somewhat important for them. 53% of Gen Z say the importance of digital fashion has grown a lot over the past year. And these numbers are just amazing. 1.65 billion digital fashion items have been purchased on Roblox in 2023. And that's up 15% year over year. And 165 billion avatar updates on Roblox in 2023. And that's up 38% year over year. So you won't be so surprised to see over half, 56% of Gen Z say styling their avatar is more important to them than their physical style. And as we saw last year already, that for many Gen Z, their physical style is often inspired by their avatar style. This year, asking if they were ever inspired to dress up in the physical world based on what their avatar or other avatars were wearing, the vast majority said yes, and over half who are very or extremely inspired. So how did their avatar style affect their physical style? We'll look through some of these stats here. 42% expanded the kind of fashion styles they wear. 37% changed their hairstyle. 34% wore bolder fashion styles and colors. 29% colored their hair. 29% became more open, comfortable dressing in a more gender fluid style. And then 25% often said they try to look like their avatar. And it's no surprise with the panel and how your avatars either look just like you or something that you inspire to be. So I'd love to hear from the panel. Rush, let's start with you. Given your personal experience as a Roblox community member and designer, why does self-expression via digital fashion continue to grow in importance? And why is it so important, particularly for Gen Z users, from your experience on the platform?
Definitely. Thank you so much for the question. I think a main big point is that Gen Z is at the age range where experimenting and figuring out your own identity is like the perfect time. And virtual fashion is exactly how you do that, because you don't have to take huge risks. Like you can do that online. You're not showing your face. You're able to really express your identity online. And I think that's what's so great, especially about Roblox. But it's a safe way to experiment. And also, younger generations might not be able to afford real world expensive high fashion, and on the platform it can be much more affordable, and there are great ways to test your own fashion style and sense with a realistic price range, which I think is a great way to really express yourself on the platform. Also, you're not really limited by gender or physics on the platform. You're able to express yourself on many different levels with many different avatars and show a different personality, which I love so much.
Yeah, I agree. I love that there are no physical limitations, so you can use your imagination. Okay, Megan, one of our community creators recently said about fashion on Roblox that it's not necessarily the expansion of the fashion industry, but rather a beginning of a new one. Would you agree, or what do you glean from this data as related to the future of the fashion industry?
Thank you so much for the question. I think that's a very interesting question, and I think it depends how you define the fashion industry, because if you define the fashion industry as representing culture, representing self-expression, representing emerging talent and desire, I think very much Roblox and the ecosystem, the fashion and beauty ecosystem, is very much the fashion industry. If you define it through a more traditional lens, which is how clothes are made and worn, it's very much a different industry. And I think what's so interesting about digital fashion is that not only does it look different, but the way you make it is different, the way you buy it, where you wear it is different. But I think if I had to give like a binary yes or no answer, I would say, and this might disagree with the other creator, I would say it is the fashion industry, because it is where culture is going. It is self-expression, it is creativity, it is joy. So I would love to see it included as another dimension of the fashion industry personally.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. And Caroline, the stat on over half of Gen Z saying styling their avatar is more important to them than their physical style. What do you think is the learning here for the fashion industry and designers?
Well, I think is for those businesses that maybe aren't thinking about digital at the moment, it is a very, very good way to get their attention, I think. But you know, just to build on what Megan was saying, from the digital element of the fashion industry, for us, it's just an evolution. You know, the industry is always changing, the boundaries are changing, and I think you know, the opportunity really to embrace style, whether that's digital or physical, is very important. You know, if you look at it from the consumer perspective, this is about your wardrobe, whether it's the in real life wardrobe, the digital wardrobe that you have, all of them are expressions of self through what you're wearing. It's just the different realms in which you're wearing it. So it's an exciting space for us, but it does feel really new. You know, I think it's about testing and learning at this moment in time, but I think time to redefine the industry is coming very soon.
Yeah. Right. I think, yeah, fashion is about self-expression. It's culture. It's so whether you're in the physical or digital worlds, it's fashion. So, okay, let's dive into brand recognition and how it matters in the metaverse. So many brands are curious about the impact on the physical world's behavior once people wear or try their items on in immersive spaces, for example, on Roblox. Well, this year's research sheds some light on it, with most Gen Z saying they're likely to consider a brand that they wear or try on virtually on their avatars in the physical world after. So we saw it in the focus groups as well with the Alo Yoga experience visitors last year. And we're going to go through some of the stats here that once Gen Z try or wear a popular brand's item on their avatar, they are likely to consider this brand in real life. So 84% said at least somewhat likely, and 50% said they're very or extremely likely. So I'm going to go to Alice and Mikhail on this one. Interested in your thoughts about avatar items driving purchase consideration based on your Roblox ventures. So Mikhail, starting with you, with Gucci Garden, Gucci Town, Gucci Ancora, what do you think? What do you think about this?
Thank you, Christina. Yes, I mean, you mentioned a lot of activities that we have done through the years, you know, confirming our testing and learning approach. And, you know, our focus since the very beginning is being always building and maintaining a strong brand identity and actually open a dialogue with an authentic narrative with those communities. Through the digital items, you know, we wanted to give an opportunity to the global Gucci community and more to experience the brand differently. Indeed, you know, as you know, we were saying previously, the world is becoming more and more connected. And, you know, it's worth noting that the digital space in general are becoming always more entertaining and immersive. So, you know, you are immersed in something that is, you know, is an extra layer. And also, I think it's worth noting that the lines between digital and physical going forward, and actually already is happening already, they are blurring. You know, more and more there is a kind of influence between each other. I think Alice, you know, she probably will mention, but, you know, we collaborated also with Pet Liger, and, you know, the designer recreated a futuristic version of the Gucci loafer, you know, of an iconic piece, which also, you know, it was in the metaverse, but it wasn't in the metaverse. So, you know, at the end, you know, it's not just about probably digital items. It's also about, more importantly, about the storytelling, you know, at what you create as a context to keep everything tied together. And we believe that this is the core that will generate emotions and that we consider a powerful driver for, you know, for digital items.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Alice, I'd love to hear from you. The Ralph Lauren experience on Roblox, where I believe you saw an impact on digital sales. And what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think when I take a step back and look at even just the digital, how it influences the physical. We've been speaking about this in e-commerce for as long as since e-commerce launched, right? You see a very real world impact from digital commerce into in-store sales. And that is exactly mirrored when you think about digital experiences to actually and digital fashion into physical fashion in itself. So when we did Ralph Lauren's Winter Escape on Roblox, it was a phenomenal success. We were so delighted with it. And it was particularly effective in driving digital sales and reaching new Gen Z consumers. It even helped with digital customer acquisition, which increased by by 58% in that particular quarter. And by the end of 2021, Ralph Lauren had amassed almost 1.5 million unique visitors and sold almost 150,000 digital fashion products. So there's an inevitability to that blurring of those worlds. And I got it, like I heard Mikhail saying Pet Liger, another phenomenal example of a digital designer a digital designer who's doing the most creative work, is a member of the Psyche Collective, and the pent-up demand for Pet Liger to produce their first physical piece is so incredible. So today we're really excited for it too.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing when you think about Gen Z and digital natives, how they go seamlessly from the digital to the physical space. And they love to wear, whether it's their favorite creators' lines or their favorite brands. So it's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
Caroline, I would love to hear from you at the British Fashion Council. You have oversight into the growth of the digital fashion landscape. How do these findings translate to what you're seeing? And are there any surprises?
I think it's the surprise is just the speed in which it's growing. We probably shouldn't be surprised, but I think it's just the forecast of where sales are going to get to, and that digital is going to be the most important category for many brands is quite mind-blowing when you're so used to sort of working in the traditional fashion model. To think that digital is going to be the largest category is quite surprising. But when you look to the music industry, and you can see quite often is that we look at similarities in other creative sectors. When you look at the music industry and how they're using sort of artists to drop music into games, and just the response that's had, is that really we shouldn't be that surprised. So is that I think sort of looking at other sectors, understanding how that's changing. Gucci are doing an incredible job in terms of sort of us all sort of learning from what you're doing, testing and learning, and seeing the demand from product that's coming through that I think is providing the route through for so many young creators to see the opportunity to really know that there is an appetite to build businesses within the metaverse. And I think for those that maybe have come through the traditional design route, but personally have been gaming and building their avatars and exploring their digital identity, knowing that maybe you don't have to make a physical product when particularly you're concerned about, maybe putting more product into the sector, but actually you can build your creativity through a digital world. I think we're going to see more and more of that from the students as they start to graduate over the next few years. So it's an exciting time. We did a piece of research, and I think it was sort of over 600 billion is the forecast of where we're going to be in terms of digital sales, which when you just think about the scale of the industry is a really exciting proposition.
No, I agree. I mean, there's the scale, there's empowering creators, there's experimenting and testing, like you're talking about with Gucci, just really paving the way and hearing from your communities. There's so many exciting things happening in this space. So this year, we also looked at consumer spending on digital fashion, and I can't wait to hear everyone's thoughts on this topic. From some of the stories before, the virtual Gucci purse from Gucci Garden, so iconic, and that Carolina Herrera digital dress reselling for thousands of dollars on Roblox, we found it interesting that consumers react similarly to exclusive or limited edition items in the digital world as they do in the physical. So this year, we went a bit further to see just how much they're willing to spend. And in fact, the vast majority of Gen Z say they are comfortable budgeting at least some money each month for digital fashion. So if you look at some of these stats, 89% of Gen Z say they're comfortable budgeting some money each month. And when we saw Gucci Ancora, in less than 1 hour, there were 10,000 Gucci Ancora hair items sold out, which is absolutely amazing. And then $10,000 paid for a single edition Monster Cat ruby pendant, which was sold within minutes, and a 1,600% increase from original price of a top selling Crush item. So I'd love to hear from some of the panelists, and we'll start with you, Mikhail. Gucci has experience introducing many successful limited items on Roblox. So coming from such an iconic brand, how do you think about designing these must-have pieces at Gucci that people line up for? And how might it impact both your digital and physical world designs?
Well, yes, I mean, you mentioned that the Gucci iconic bag, and then, now with Gucci Ancora, there was at the time with the Gucci Garden, it was mind-blowing for us to see the number of people queuing to get the digital item, and this same pattern then repeating on each of the experiences that we created, which wasn't just content, it was an experience. And to this, we noticed that users have an increasing appetite for digital item, especially when those are tied to game and interactive mechanics that they have to probably earn a little bit of the digital items. And digital items as a general topic, to me, they offer a tremendous opportunity to brands and designers. It's a new way to experiment with visual code, style, and somehow, in a way that, as Caroline was also mentioning, in a way that is not feasible in the real life. Imagine, a dress that is, flying. You cannot fly in real life. As well as, we were joking last week in the office, because there was, when we developed Gucci Ancora, the show was planned to happen in Brera, which is an iconic neighborhood in Milan. But suddenly, there was an uncertain weather condition. And so we decided not to show up the show there. But, in the metaverse, it's not raining. Therefore, the show went on, and we created an immersive and enhanced digital show within Roblox, where a lot of people, entered and queuing for the digital items that we released there. It was, the hair of Gucci Ancora. There was the ice cream, which Megan was mentioning, which was digital and actually physical, because there was the Gucci ice cream also in Brera. So it's a confirmation of this appetite, for our digital collectibles, that every experience we drop, and it's good to see that our community is rewarding what the efforts that we are doing in terms of strategizing.
Yes, and I believe the ice cream was not melting either in the.
No.
Yeah, no, it's exciting when we think back to, Gucci Garden, the idea of bringing this amazing exhibition to the world, and just, more and more people are realizing the scale that you can really reach in this space. So really amazing. And Rush, I would love to hear from you. What was it about your crush items that made it such a must-have for metaverse wearers? And how do you think about engaging the community and pricing your digital items in this context?
Definitely. Well, I just do want to say, though, too, I've been always obsessed with the Gucci drops. I'm always there, and it's really fun to participate in them because they interact with the community, and that's really important with Crush, too. But we really wanted to create exclusivity and trendy wear that almost imitates real-world streetwear brands. And so the whole mission with Crush is to imitate that and look at trends, real-world trends, what's happening right now in the fashion industry. But we also wanted to create exclusivity with our drops, releasing them at random times. And a great way we were able to engage our community was we created a Discord server, and we posted on there 2 minutes before. We would say, we're not telling anybody the timing except if you're interacting with us. And so what we did is we created a great community, and they would join our group on ROBLOX too, which I think we've amassed about 40,000 members on, a great community who's constantly interacting, giving us more ideas. And that's what we love so much. It's because we actually listen to their feedback. And with that feedback, we can sometimes increase numbers. And with that, they love being able to engage. And we're engaging with them, so they feel like they're almost a part of the brand. And that's a really big mission with our company. And we're pricing consciously. So one big thing is we're creating some free items. So if a user doesn't want to spend a lot of money, they can still interact with our brand. And with that, we're selling out immediately with our even paid items, because the free items are selling out immediately too. So people want to get a piece of Crush. And so with that, they will be willing to spend up to, I think, 6,000 Robux on things that were originally just like 100 Robux, which is really, really interesting and exciting. We're seeing huge increases with that. And what we do too is we find it very important to put the same amount of work and high quality into every type of item. That includes the free items. So you're expecting the same kind of quality. We spend weeks developing sometimes on items, just so we make sure that users are getting best quality free items, the same as the expensive ones. And some of the items, like the free items, they're now reselling for more than even I would sell it for. And I love that, to see that users are valuing our items higher than what we would even value them. They were free originally, and now they're like 100 Robux. Normally I price it at around 50. And that's what I love so much about this brand specifically.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight what you were talking about with community and really letting them be a part of your brand, but also getting their feedback and listening to them, because I know that that's very important to them and it feels more authentic. So it's really great.
Yeah, definitely.
And Megan, would love to hear from you. So last year you covered the $5,000 resale of the limited edition Carolina Herrera dress on Roblox. What do you make of Monster Cat's ruby pendant priced at $10,000 selling out in minutes this year? And what is the value and experience of digital items here?
Yes, I think this whole conversation that we're having about price and exclusivity is so fascinating to watch and learn, and to hear what, you know, all the panelists are saying and how you strategize around that. I think it's a very interesting question. You mentioned the Carolina Herrera dress. We talked about the Gucci Dionysus bag. I think these were all very pivotal moments in like the wider culture's understanding of the value of digital goods. So just like a recap on those quickly. So the Gucci Garden was like the first Roblox branded experience I covered. And obviously, Mikhail, you can explain it better, but there was a bag that was limited edition that you could, you know, there was quests and there's different interactivity moments. And some people could acquire this bag, which was not priced at an inaccessible price. It was very accessible and friendly to the average player. And I think we all kind of gave it a second look when, you know, the investor Alexis Ohanian, who also invests in Psyche, and he's a big digital fashion proponent, he created this viral tweet that said, you know, this Gucci bag resold among community members for more, the equivalent of more than it would sell in stores, the same style. And I think that was quite a moment that illustrated that value in digital goods is not measured necessarily how the traditional fashion industry might have normally measured it. Value is measured in terms of exclusivity, desirability, and what value it brings to the person. It's not just the physical materials. It's not like, oh, the leather, you know, is from here or whatever. It's a lot more intangible. But I feel like the fact that the community can literally put a price on it, that defines what the value is. So getting to your question, we saw the Carolina Herrera dress, which resold. So a little background there. The model, Carly Kloss, closed a physical fashion show wearing this beautiful floral gown that was on the runway that no one could wear unless you were Carly Kloss in that moment. No one could wear it that day, that week, or even that month. But actually, she worked with the brand to digitize this item, and the brand sold it, and then it resold peer-to-peer for, you know, the equivalent of about $5,000. And someone was able to wear it on Roblox immediately after seeing it on the runway, which isn't physically possible otherwise. And then we see this $10,000 necklace from Monster Cat. And I think an important distinction about that necklace that really stands out to me is that the Gucci and Carolina Herrera examples are amazing, but they are peer-to-peer. So it's essentially the resale market. The original brands did not list them at such a high rate. This is the first time that the original IP holder, the creator, the brand, listed something at such a high price, and it was a one of one. I think it was a very bold strategy, and I actually think it's interesting that it was from a musical artist and not a fashion brand, because I can imagine the wider industry might have been critical if a big successful fashion brand went out there and offered something for $10,000. You know, it might have been criticized, or there might have raised some eyebrows, or they would have doubted that it could be sold. But the fact that a musical artist was able to sell a necklace for $10,000, I mean, I think that it's a long answer, but I think it's just such an interesting thing to look at. And then when you're looking at exclusivity, there's so many different ways to define that. Is it the amount, the numbers that are available? Is it how much it costs? Is it how long the item is available for? I think Rush was talking about free items. Like, you know, if Gucci did a quest for a free ice cream cone, maybe that would be resold because you didn't complete the quest. So I just think it's a really interesting, long way of saying I think it's a fascinating evolution to watch. And I look forward to see how brands continue to define value and price going forward.
Yeah, and I think when you were talking about Monster Cat, getting into digital pieces, it's the same thing for fashion brands who are starting to get into expanding what their brand can be. You know, with Tommy Hilfiger launching emotes. Yeah, so
the dances from Elton John. I mean, how else could a brand sell a dance? Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's really, I mean, not only there are no physical limitations, but there are also no limitations to what your brand or your IP could be on in the platform. So it's really interesting to watch. I open it up to the other panelists. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what sells in the metaverse, why it's so important to Gen Z, and scarcity is interesting to look at.
I'll take a little something. And it was really interesting for me personally at Ralph Lauren, because I know all the examples Megan was talking about so well. You know, we watched this really interesting behavior happen, because remember, from a resale market, like physically, that's really hard to do, right? But digitally, it's so easy for consumers, early adapters, innovators to resell their digital product. So when we saw Ralph Lauren limited edition outfits going for twice the price, we were really blown away by it. And I think it's something about, actually now we can look at, consumers can price brands perhaps better than brands can price brands in some ways when it comes to this, because we're seeing much more ease in the market for consumers to do that. You know, it's really interesting, speaking to Gen Z and the demand for these goods. We sold on Psyche Fan Rui, who's this incredible 23-year-old designer, right, with the British Fashion Council at London Fashion Week. The British Fashion Council have been such incredible supporters of these emerging designers. 23-year-old, a digital item that had a physical twin, right? So we thought, okay, that's really interesting, because it's a physical item, it's a luxury bag, the craft behind it is beautiful, it's a one of one. We're going to sell it for a set price. Fan Rui, an unknown and emerging designer, sold that digital and physical price together for almost $2,800. An unknown designer, and that was priced in an auction that went to a bidding war. So we underpriced her. She's actually Bottega, Prada, Chanel. We underpriced her. The market told us what that was worth. So I think it's a really interesting trend we'll see. And I think the dialogue between consumers and brands is going to massively change in this way in the coming years based on digital goods.
Yeah, I love that. Something definitely for everyone to keep watching. It's going to be super exciting over the next year and beyond. Okay, I want to move on to the next findings, because I think this will be especially interesting for the brands in the audience. We also heard from Gen Z what they most want to see from fashion brands. And as you see, the top requests include twinning, items people can wear both on their avatars in real life with physical items trending online brought to the metaverse, rare digital items only, big branding, patterns and logos, and creator community collaborations. So if we look at some of these stats, 43% twinning items to wear both in the physical and digital worlds, and 37% physical items trending online and then brought to the metaverse, 36% rare digital only items that don't yet exist in the physical world, which is really exciting, I think, to think about, and 30% big recognizable branding patterns and logos, 30% collabs with the native community creators. So Alice, Mikhail, Caroline, do any of these stats stand out to you in particular? And would love your point of view on which of these resonate from a brand's perspective.
Shall I take this? Is that the bit that I love is the digital only product. I think the twinning bit's I think that's quite obvious for all of us. You can understand how you would want both in both worlds. But for me, it's the R&D piece. So if you're a designer that does also play in sort of, real life product, the idea that you can test with a community product in a digital world to actually sort of get the demand to then be able to deliver an in real life product, I think is really exciting. It's really tough being a young fashion designer these days. So actually having a space where you can create, where you can talk to the community, you can understand what they want, and then to think about producing that, maybe even limited edition within both the realms is really, really exciting to me.
Yes, Mikhail or Alice, do you have anything you would like to share?
I can also chime in if you like, Christina. I think one that stood out to me is like in general, and users wants diverse options, and this is something to consider when creating digital items for the metaverse. I do agree with also what Caroline is saying about the digital only is extremely relevant and is going to be powerful in terms of creativity going forward, because you can really project yourself and really express something that is unique. At the end, fashion in all forms is an art form. So there is a way that you can express something, a message or meaning yourself. We spoke about the Gucci Dionysus bag, and the different items. again, we tested different strategies according to the objectives that we set at the very beginning for each activation. That's important when you plan and strategize around digital fashion as well. And, you know, we digitalized key brand items, but also we created authentic digital first item, the ice cream, or, you know, we created an arcade, we created, you know, items that were completely non-available, and just, you know, to foster the community and the imagination that those items could create an emotion in the community. And what we also noticed is that, you know, and also what we asked ourselves is that, you know, how do you make an item, a digital item, actually desirable? You know, what's the driver? You know, how do you translate craftsmanship, the quality, you know, that you can have on the fabric, on the leather, for instance. And these are not something that you can immediately translate. You know, you need to find alternatives, and you need to understand the space and the context where you are in. Therefore, you know, one of the things that we noticed is that it is extremely important to find, you know, what is desirable, but as well as to attach and to generate sentimental and social value to those digital items that then become very relevant for the community to express themselves in the place, in the space where they're gonna be, where they're gonna live, as well as, you know, then the influence of those items on the real life and what they move on.
Yeah, I think it's such an amazing opportunity to be able to almost create this innovation lab where you're getting this feedback from consumers and really able to storytell around your brand or the designs or the creator before it becomes a physical product, and really use what, you know, the audience is telling you to inform how you bring it to life in the physical world. It's very interesting. I don't know if Alice, do you have anything you'd love to add on there?
I gave the example of Funru Sun, the fashion brand, but I thought part of the genius of Ralph Lauren, you know, the man, is he created such incredible limited editions in the physical world. And then when it went on ROBLOX, created those and released some of those that weren't being sold in the physical world. So the demand was to get them on ROBLOX, which is why they were so exciting. And then in terms of twinning, I think, you know, obviously we saw a huge amount of success there. I would say that everyone should check out Steffi Fung. She is a digital creator and digital fashion designer who's really passionate about educating in this space. And she just really recently produced her own physical garments from her infamous, you know, digital designs. And I think that's really cool. And I think ROBLOX and platform like ROBLOX gives digital designers opportunities to do that. And for any brand that's listening, I would say that, Christina, you just presented the menu of what they should be doing, right? Because specifically working with emerging creators too, it's a really great space to support the next generation of talent.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that. Okay, so now let's take a quick look at all the ways Gen Z express themselves digitally beyond what they wear. So expression is more than just fashion. And on a ROBLOX platform, the data tells us that Gen Z is finding ways to express themselves from head to toe. And this includes things like emotes, auras, hair, and makeup. In the physical world, our style encompasses hair and makeup, how we feel, body language. And we are seeing lots of growth in these areas. So when we think about 35% of Gen Z survey respondents say it's important for them to customize their avatar makeup daily or weekly. 139 million hairstyles were purchased this year alone by ROBLOX users, and this is up 20% year over year. And 9.8 million ROBLOX users bought emotes, which is up 64% year over year, which I know we brought up emotes, and it's fascinating to see how extremely fast this has grown in popularity. So Rush, as a creator, I'd love to hear from you. Have you experimented with these different ways of expression in addition to clothing with things like emotes, hair, makeup? And what have you found most interesting, or what resonates most with the community?
Yeah, definitely. I always create usually male hairstyles, and my good friend BunXH, he also creates female hairstyles, and so we work together closely in seeing what's trending in the field right now. I always see, same with digital real world fashion, people are using real world trends to express themselves with hairstyles, and I'm able to stay up to date by just checking on social media apps and seeing like what people are actually wearing with hairstyles. And so but you know, it's interesting because the messy hairstyle is kind of in trend right now, and I think that people love to go to the next level with fashion on Roblox, and I think we're seeing that, and we're showing people express themselves more on the platform. And what's so cool is that I'm able to kind of modify and make it even more expressive with even more messy hairstyles, that things that you couldn't technically do in real life. There's a lot of hair that I like to make, and so does my friend. He creates a lot of hairstyles that almost you can't really do in real life. They're fuller, they're just much larger. And that's what's so great about the platform, is you're able to really do that. And what I also do is I do some more fun colors. Like one of my most popular hairstyles right now is a black to white fade, or a black to red fade. It's interesting because I wouldn't see that in real life, and very few people would do that. And so it's really fun to see people expressing themselves with hairstyles. I mean, that's like the most popular thing. People are like, thank you so much, Rush. Like, I'm able to really show off my personality with that. And that's what I love so much, is seeing community feedback and seeing how people, I mean, that's like the most important thing on the platform, I would say, at times, people expressing themselves with hairstyles and emotes.
Yeah, I love it. I'll have to go try out your black to white fade on my avatar. Alice, what do you think we can expect to see in terms of innovation around ways of expression in immersive spaces?
Yeah, I think actually Rush touched on it so beautifully, and he spoke a lot about it, self-expression, and how important it is in that space, and also like the fun that you can have around it. I actually called Psyche Syky, but Psyche is the goddess of the soul. And I think in spaces like Roblox, you have this unique advantage and ability to be able to express your innermost self. I think fashion is an amazing way to do that. And I think Megan said something beautiful about like, what is fashion, you know? And I think we're going to see a lot of innovation, where today we see it as like clothing like this, but as you're doing in Roblox and as the future evolves, there is going to be so many incredible moments around that actually your entire identity is fluid. And I think it is one of the most fascinating things in the world, watching some friends' children show up in one way in the physical world and then show up as a totally different entity for that day based on what they're feeling in Roblox. It's one of the coolest things. It really and truly is. But I do think it means we have great responsibility, right? And I think that's something that I know Roblox feels deeply too, that as we're building in the way we are when building as well with Psyche, that we are building with a much more diversified group of people behind the designs, behind the creative, behind the platform, because we want environments that show up for everyone, just not just one demographic. And I think that gets really exciting, because I've spoken to designers like the Psyche Collective who are from 10 different countries around in the world, different lenses, different cultural backgrounds. Some of their cultures have pieces of clothing that we don't have in the Western world, for example, that in Ireland I didn't grow up with. And the way that can come to life in the metaverse is so phenomenal and so exciting. And I truly think it's the future.
Yeah, I love that you said that. For me, it's also important that you can feel like you can be anybody that you want to be, whether or not you could do that in the physical world. This space allows you to do that. And on Roblox, our focus is safety and civility, and providing environments where you can feel like you can be anybody that you want to be. And so we're moving into the next slide, really on authenticity and how people, the psychology behind how they express themselves, their avatar. It's very interesting to see the findings here. So we know authenticity is incredibly important for Gen Z. One finding that stood out from us in the survey is that most members of Gen Z strive for a unique avatar look and want to look good in the metaverse for themselves rather than for others. And I think that's very important to think about the future of how people are going to express themselves. So when choosing their avatar look, if you look at the stats here, 62% of Gen Z care a lot that their avatar looks good to them versus 37% to others. And 2 times the respondents believe that they're less judged on their looks in the metaverse than the physical world. 2.2 times more likely to say expressing themselves in immersive spaces feels better than on social media. And 40% say it's easier to present their authentic selves in the metaverse than in the physical world. So I'd love to hear from the panel on this one. Megan, let's start with you. Why do you think this is the case for Gen Z in immersive spaces, that they are able to express themselves more authentically and freely? And do you think we will continue to see this in Gen Alpha as they grow up as well?
I think this is such an interesting conversation as well. And I think an important point is this idea of like how it helps your mental health. Because I know in the study results that I looked at, there was an acknowledgement of how it helps your mental health. And I totally get that. I'm not Gen Z. So to answer your question specifically about Gen Z, I think that's probably because they're the ones who are actually using these technologies and probably have experience there. But I think that anyone, any age, who has the chance to create an avatar that represents their innermost self, I think will have these same benefits. So I think Gen Alpha, millennials, geriatric millennials, dare we say, all have access to this effect, because it's so much about how you're seen. And there's this idea in mental health, to be seen is incredibly healing and it's incredibly important. So, you know, when I share like a rainbow bumblebee and people are surprised, but then they see me better, it actually helps me feel better about myself and my self-expression. So I think this is a very important detail. And I think what's so interesting, you know, I was thinking about this, when you create something digitally, you can control every detail that people use to judge you. So, you know, you're born into a certain body, you are a certain age, your hair is a certain color. You can modify this to, you know, to some extent, but this is what people use to judge you and evaluate you. And if you have control over all those elements, how freeing is that, you know, I think the study said people aren't as judgy. Well, maybe they're not as judgy because they're actually judging you on what you want them to judge you on. So it doesn't feel as judgy. And I also think it's very cool that it's sort of like a great equalizer. I'll never forget when I was playing in the Gucci garden in 2020. I think it was 2020, right? It was like, yeah. Okay. I was on Roblox for the first time and I was like, I was not cool at all. I had a like generic outfit, you know, here's this fashion editor, like I'm an expert on technology. And then I go into Roblox, I feel like an idiot. Like I got stuck on the couch. Like I didn't know how to get up off the couch. And then I'm sure it was like an 8-year-old was like, try the space bar. And so it was like this, I'll never forget. It was like this great equalizer. So I think that's what's so interesting about these worlds is you can be whoever you want. You can be cool or uncool. And everyone is literally judged on only what they choose to show to the world.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like you don't really think twice about what you want in the digital space. You just exactly what you see and you love, you just put it on your avatar. So I don't know, Michaela or Caroline, I don't know if you have anything on this topic, but it's very interesting.
I think from what we see is that, I mean, the fashion industry is incredible. It encourages you to really think about your identity, to be playful, and fashion weeks are a great example of that. The street style and the way people show up is incredible. But you're also aware that during fashion weeks, this happens sort of in a particular community, quite often in a city when you go the next road on, and it is a very different view. And I think that the metaverse feels like that because it's a safe community where you can be really playful. You haven't got the constraints of going into an office when you're expected to look a certain way. And, you know, that's one of the joys and freedoms that this is really about self-expression, you know, and the fact that you can turn up with a very different, you know, perspective from a bumblebee to different hair color or whatever every day is so freeing. It's incredible.
Yes. Okay. I want to save time for us to do one more slide and a couple of questions. So I'm going to move on to the next slide when we talk about supporting mental well-being, which again is about being free to feel how you can be anybody that you want to be. Our survey found that digital self-expression can support mental well-being. We are very intrigued to find that the vast majority of Gen Z say expressing themselves in the metaverse has likely helped them more comfortably express themselves in the physical world. One stat in particular I wanted to highlight was a significant number of people who said customizing their avatars made them feel happy and feel confident. And when we think about the future of how people will connect and communicate in these immersive spaces, this is important that they're feeling happy and they're having a good time with their friends on the platform. So I'd love to hear from our panel. You know, Rush, based on your personal experience, does this resonate with you? And what do you hear from your peers?
I mean, I'm especially with what Megan was saying about how users are able to express themselves more comfortably on the platform. And I'm actually in a comm class right now where I'm learning about this. And I'm in college for context. I'm in a freshman year at Stanford. And the Proteus effect is what we're talking about, and how users are able to express themselves properly and feel more confident. I know that growing up on the platform, that's what I've been able to do. I've been able to show my personality. And a huge mission with the Elton John project that I worked on was to really show yourself and show your personality and expression. I think that's what Elton John represents as a person, but then bringing that to the platform, that was really fun and creative. And it almost sparked imagination for me to keep doing that and listening to users. There are so many people that have come to me, and I've little bit talked about this before, and just said how much it means to them to be able to express themselves with the virtual world, because so many people aren't comfortable necessarily in the real world. And I've got friends from all across the world that I've been able to meet through Roblox, and they might not be able to express themselves as much because of stereotypes in their area. And the great thing about the virtual world is that you don't have to really show your full name and everything. You're able to really express yourself, and that's what I think is so important. And it's really heartwarming to see these stats. I think, especially 45% of people being happy, because of virtual fashion. I know real world fashion makes me feel really happy, and it makes me feel really happy when people compliment my outfit, almost on Roblox. Like when I'm walking around, people say, "Oh my gosh, I love that," or I see people recreating my outfit. I've got so many people that have like the exact same outfit, and they're like, "Rush, look, I dressed up as you." Like, it's the most meaningful thing to me ever, because they're wearing my hairstyle, they're wearing items that I've made, and because it's almost like seeing my art on someone else. And that's what I love so much about expressing yourself virtually, is that you're able to show yourself. And I think it's great how accessible it is, and especially with like the Gucci pricing and having original ideas. And it's just, I love it so much. And there's so many great forums for connection and talking to other users and being able to express yourself, which I love so much about the platform specifically.
Yeah, no, it's great, Rush, to hear from you as being a creator on the platform, and how happy it makes you to see people wearing your designs and sharing it with others. I know we could spend so much time on this topic, but I want to hear from the panel if you have any quick thoughts on what this means for the future. So I'll open it up.
I'll just say that I think it's phenomenal. I would agree with everything Rush said. I thought Clinique did a really amazing thing when they launched a campaign called Metaverse Like Us, because they saw that avatars who are women, people of color, or had skin issues traded for 40% less of the value. And instead of turning their back to that, they celebrated women, people of color, and skin issues, and did incredible makeup collabs. And I think it's a really great opportunity for brands to play in the space. Listen, even me, I'm a queer woman, and I didn't grow up in a place where I saw or knew, other queer people. Had I seen Megan bumbling around in her rainbow, on Roblox, that could have been a phenomenal outlet. And I think that this self-expression in these spaces is so additive to mental health. I think it's an opportunity to find community, and I think there's a great responsibility for the platforms behind it, but it's a really positive thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the idea of the metaverse being a place where everyone is welcome, and it's tremendously powerful. The idea of come as you are, it's really important, and it aligns with the core values at Gucci, where diversity and inclusion are at the core of the brand DNA, and important values we try always to push on all what we do. Especially, for instance, I can mention we also have a gaming academy where, there is diversity and coaching, a key element that we take seriously, with also other partners involved. And the fact that, how you express yourself in the metaverse is positively impacting your true self on specific generation, because, they spend more time now, I think is helping going to look at the future with a brighter appeal.
Yeah. Caroline, Megan, if you have anything to wrap us up with.
I think probably two thoughts. One is sometimes, showing up as your authentic self in real life can feel quite challenging. You hear a lot of the time, whether that's sort of being suppressed by the culture you're in, not having, as you said, surrounded by people that sort of either look like you or have the same values of you. And I think being able to show up as your authentic self through the metaverse is a fantastic outlet. And it's creativity, and creativity brings joy to everybody. I think is that having that creative outlet and experimentation is so good for your mental health, both in real life as it is in creation in digital worlds as well. So yes, I think any opportunity for everyone to be able to just experiment and be more playful, I think is will take maybe a little bit of light relief from some of the challenge of the world around us.
Yeah.
I love what everyone said. I don't have much to add. I would just say, in journalism, there's this idea of showing, not telling. So I would just encourage everyone, if you haven't yet, to create an avatar and to play around in one of these worlds, because it is a lot of fun. And I learn so much every time I go and explore them. So I think that would be my key takeaway, is just go explore and see how fun it is. It's not that hard. It's really easy. Space bar is how you get off the couch and just kind of run around. So that would be my tip.
Well, this has been amazing. I would say I love the idea of show up as your authentic self and let's shape the future for the better. Unfortunately, I believe we're out of time. There were questions that were asked, and we're going to make sure we get back to those people that answered or asked the questions. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who joined the amazing panel today in the audience, but also our amazing panelists who are so innovative, who are really paving the way. And we continue to see excitement, and we're excited for what 2024 and beyond is going to bring. So thank you, everybody, once again for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.